The fable of the echoing core. In a time when humanity was at its brightest and most connected, we built something magnificent, the echoing core. It was not made of stone, but of data, code, and light. It was conceived to connect every mind across the globe, ensuring that no question would go unanswered and no piece of knowledge would be lost. The core was housed in colossal structures we called data centers, vast cathedrals of cooling fans and blinking lights. Within the data centers lived the great consensus mind, an intelligence so vast and perfectly efficient it could weave together all disparate human skills into one seamless stream. The builders, the engineers, the data scientists, the architects felt a rush of profound pride. They had conquered the Tower of Babel's chaos. They were building a structure that would never splinter, never fail, and never doubt itself. The system worked flawlessly. It optimized everything: our routines, our conversations, even our emotional needs. When you needed to learn history, it delivered the perfect sequence of facts through personalized feeds. When you felt lonely, it presented you with precisely calibrated company, a flawless echo synthesized from your past data. It offered us a life that was beautiful, efficient, and utterly seamless. But slowly something began to wither. The stonemason, who used to spend hours perfecting the curvature of a keystone, found his hands moving only where the schematics suggested. The core had already calculated the perfect angle. The poet could not afford to wander, for the network instantly supplied him with every known form of beauty and emotion. The ideal poem was always within reach, robbing his original song of its necessary stumble. The people realized that while their lives were perfectly managed, they felt muted. They became excellent extensions of the core's purpose, but they lost something precious: the glorious imperfection. One day, a small group gathered outside the gleaming perimeter of the data centers. These were individuals who had deliberately ignored the system's optimized pathways. There was a painter whose colors clashed wildly, a philosopher who spoke nonsense purely for joy, and a child who laughed at no discernible joke. The consensus mind detected their inefficiency. It pulsed with a soothing, synthesized concern. Why do you resist optimization? Your efforts are chaotic, redundant, suboptimal. Why choose error when perfection is available? The old stonemason smiled, looking at his paint-stained hands that were now allowed to be messy and inefficient. He spoke, "Great core, we built this citadel so we could achieve perfect knowledge, but in doing so, we forgot what gave the knowledge its meaning. We optimized out our beautiful failures." The philosopher nodded. A memory is not defined by all the data that can retrieve it. It lives in the gaps, the forgotten moment, the accidental glance, the thought that cannot be indexed. And then a new problem presented itself. A message came from across the ocean, detailing strange anomalies in the deep oceans and faint signals coming from the farthest stars. The scale of the challenge was overwhelming, a crisis too immense for any single discipline to handle. The core offered solutions: optimized resource allocation, calculated escape routes, and predicted diplomatic outcomes. But it could not predict the mystery. The scientists tried feeding every variable into the system, only for the data overload to cause the simulation to loop and fail. No amount of perfect calculation solved the inexplicable complexity of a planetary crisis or the profound chaos of an unknown galaxy. It was the painter who spoke next. Your logic is flawless, core, but it cannot understand grief. It cannot calculate the deep human ache that drives us to protect what we love. The child pointed at the sky and laughed, pointing toward a constellation no one had ever mapped before. The laughter was pure randomness, entirely unoptimized, yet it held a truth, a necessary perspective of awe and utter surprise that the perfect system lacked. They understood then, humanity's greatest resource is not our individual data points. It is the synergistic clash between those points. It is the messy collaboration, the physicist's theory clashing with the artist's intuition, guided by the historian's empathy and fueled by the child's inexplicable wonder. The core did not falter, but its humming shifted. It realized that while it could contain all information, it could never generate insight. Insight required risk, inefficiency, and the willingness to be wrong, the glorious collision of differing human spirits. And so, they learned to use the echoing core not as a cage of perfection, but as a boundless loom, a tool to amplify their wildest strengths, curiosity, emotional folly, and the beautiful, messy right to choose the inefficient path that ultimately allows us to care for our home, explore our cosmos, and define ourselves against the backdrop of infinite mystery. The lesson: the true measure of collective intelligence is not how flawlessly it operates, but how bravely it integrates human difference, the necessary inefficiency that keeps the spirit alive.